Today, I have my most worn fragrances of 2020 to share with you. If you watch my channel, you know that I do tons of fragrance reviews, so I am constantly testing out different scents, but I have some scents that I just keep going back to. I'm here today to share some amazing fragrances with you guys, so let's get into it. Okay, the first thing I have to do honorable mention for is actually a hair mist. It's from Kayali. This is the Deja Vu White Flower Hair Mist. This has gardenia, jasmine absolute, orange flower, tuberose, and Tahitian vanilla. This is its fragrance counterpart, but in a hair mist, so there is no alcohol in it. I have really gotten into hair mists in the year of 2020. There's something about turning your head and constantly getting a whiff of smelling something delicious that is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, prior to hair mist, I've just been using perfumes in my hair. Not good, causes a lot of damage because of the alcohol content, but your hair, I think because of how porous it is, just grabs onto fragrances so beautifully. This one is sweet. It's got white flower. It's a little creamy. It's kind of fresh and light still though. So on a day-to-day basis, it's not overbearing, and a little bit goes a long way with this. Like, this lasts in my hair until I wash my hair pretty much. It just makes me feel fresh, a little more awake, and more put together. Kayali again for my first fragrance. This is Vanilla 28. I did an entire review on the Kayali fragrances. I'll leave that linked up here and down below. It's a grown vanilla. It is warm. It's got amber. It's got patchouli. There is a super sweet caramel almost note, but there is this beautiful depth to it and some spice. This is just so delicious. It's like a burnt sugar vanilla with spices and patchouli. Now, the lasting power for me on the vanilla scent is not incredible. I spray all my fragrances on my clothing to get the most longevity out of them, but I find that anything I add this to, it just adds a perfect extra boost of vanilla and just yumminess. This one is Eau Duelle from Diptyque, and this is the Eau de Toilette version. It is a cloud of boozy vanilla with some freshness, some green notes. There's a little spice to it. There's this amazing black tea note in here. I am a huge tea drinker, so I am drawn to that. I am like an Earl Grey English breakfast with cream and honey, and that's kind of what this has an effect of with the black tea and the vanilla. It's this rich, creamy sweetness, but it's got this underlying powdery musk, but it's not a baby powder. It's more like a powdered sugar effect. There is a saffron note, I believe, which kind of comes across as like a leather to the base. This is pretty long lasting if you wear it on your clothing, and it smells so good on its own, but also mixed in with pretty much any other fragrance. It's so delicious. Next up is BDK Pas Ce Soir. This is something that I wear if I am going to the grocery store. I'm not doing a lot of running about in the time of COVID, so technically this would be like an errands fragrance. It's got this really juicy orange at the top, and when it dries down, it has this sweet, almost skin-like finish to it. There is a creaminess, there is tonka, white flower, orange blossom, there's patchouli, there's a sour note, like a sour fruit in there, a little ginger. Overall, it's just a really easy to wear scent. I did a whole fragrance review on this one specifically, so I'll leave that up here. It's something that I don't have to think about too much, and it has deeper notes like amber, patchouli, but it is still overall like a lighter finish. This has been a favorite for I don't even know how long. This is Clean Reserve Sueded Oud. This is a scent that I reach for constantly. Like, there are days where I'm literally like, you gotta try something else. You have too many fragrances to keep wearing that one. It's like warm and cozy, like a hug, but it's also really sexy and woody and slightly sweet. There are these amazing green notes. Like, there is a slight fir cedar note. There's an incense. I believe There's a pimento pepper note in the top, which you can smell because it does have that nose tingly kind of spice to it when you initially spray it. There's jasmine, there's honeysuckle. And then as it starts to dry down, you get this oud. It's a very light, easy oud to wear. It's not intimidating. This is probably like an amazing starter oud if you are nervous about trying oud. But what I love about it is that it has suede, which is like a creamy, softer leather scent where it smells slightly powdery, but it's so just gentle. It also has praline. There's this beautiful sweetness that runs through it. There's amber. I know I mentioned a skin scent with Pas Ce Soir, and it does have that effect, but this is truly like what I imagine a delicious smelling person to smell like, which is what I want to smell like, obviously. And it's pretty darn long wearing. Okay, I will spray this all over, and sometimes I'll catch my hair a little bit, and it lasts all day. Another Clean Reserve scent that I also love and that I have actually been using regularly for like 2 years now is Amber Saffron. It's still sweet and it has some depth and some richness and some like darkness to it, but it is juicy. You have a beautiful mandarin orange note. You have raspberry, which I love raspberry in fragrances. I feel like raspberry is a note that just sits so beautifully on the skin, and that's a lot of times what gives skin that sweetened skin effect. There is of course saffron and amber, but the saffron again smells kind of like a really light leather, and the amber adds this beautiful rich sweetness, but there's also some musk which gives it a lightness. This is another scent that smells so good, lasts a really long time, and combined with Sueded Oud, I'm obsessed with that combo. This kind of reminds me of like the outdoors. I don't know why. It's like a beautiful foliage with the sun shining down like a steep hill with like greenery and like flowers and different colored leaves. Maybe there's also an apple farm, even though there's no apple in it, but that fruity, juicy, slightly green, warm from the sun kind of a note. It's so good. This is Burberry Brit. And I actually used to use it because my cousin used to wear this. This is like a nostalgic scent for sure for me. It smells like a lot of people I remember in my youth, but categorically my cousin, and I love her, so I love wearing this. It's sweet. There's almond, there's vanilla, there's tonka, there's a little creaminess, there's sweetness, there's some amber. I think there's a pear note in here in the opening too, which is done really nicely, but there is also depth to it where it doesn't smell juvenile. There is something slightly floral in here too that kind of cuts through, and also a little bit of a woodiness as well. It's easy to wear. It works day or night in any temperature. It just smells good no matter what. The next fragrance I have is from a brand called Eau d'Italie. It's actually from a hotel that's in Italy, I believe. The fragrance that I have here is Mourned to Dusk. They do a bunch of different scents. This one is so delicious. I got this from Lucky Scent. And it is literally like powdered sugar. Like it's the outside of a marshmallow. This kind of reminds me in a similar vein to Guerlain Insolence, the Eau de Toilette, in the way that it's like a fairy dust. Like, I don't know why that's the only thing that keeps coming to me is fairy dust. I think there is a lily note and maybe some citrus like bergamot up at the top, but really this dries down into a marshmallow, the powdery outside, and I love it. It's so addicting. While it's not the longest wearing fragrance I own, it is something where I will happily and gladly keep dousing this all over myself. I wish you guys could smell these through the screen. That would be so cool. Oh my God, it smells so good. I gotta spray myself. Yes. Oh my God, it smells so good. This is a smell, no matter what your mood is, it's gonna lift you back up. It's gonna make you feel confident. It's gonna make you feel feminine. It's gonna make you feel sexy. It's just gonna like liven you up, lift you up. And initially, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of smells like something you may have already tried in the past, but just wait until it dries down a little bit. It's magic. Guerlain Spiritueuse Double Vanille, similar to a theme that's happening in this video. It is a grown and sexy sexy, elevated vanilla. There's some spicy, incensey, deep notes up at the top, and then you have some beautiful creamier notes. There is an ylang ylang scent. There's a little bit of rose, a little bit of jasmine. And the florals are really light though. There's this beautiful woodiness to it, but at the base, it's really vanilla and benzoin. Initially, it's a little bit fresher, but the dry down with that incense and the woodiness and that vanilla, my mouth is like salivating. I don't know why, that's so weird of me, but it's almost a little boozy to me too. I know that there are no alcohol notes in here, but it has a little bit of that booziness to it. Beautiful, sexy vanilla. It's so unique. I talked about this fragrance in a recent video. I will leave that video linked up here and also down below. But this is the Blend Oud Gold Oud. I got this from Oswald NYC. I can't stop. It almost reminds me of like a oudier version of Sueded Oud. At the top, there's a lot of bright citrus in the opening. It feels a little bit punchier, a little bit green. Then it starts to slowly dry down and you get this beautiful hint of a floral, like a white flower, a little touch of rose, but this one is definitely not rose heavy. It's just rose present. There is a green, nutty kind of effect, I think from the fig, as well as a sweetness from the ylang ylang. And then in the dry down, it's patchouli, it's oud, there's a woodiness to it, there is a sweetness to it, there is a depth and richness and a slight spice. It is like the best of all the worlds. Oud, wood, spice, sweet, done. Sold, give me a bottle. I very rarely use just one fragrance, for the record. Like, I'm constantly mixing in my scents. And to be fair, if you mix pretty much any of these scents that I'm mentioning together, it's probably gonna smell great. But I love mixing this in with sweeter scents, with white flower scents, and also with saffron, amber, richer, deeper scents too. That woodiness and the oud in here is great. The oud in here too is still subtle. It's definitely a step up from Sueded Oud, but it's not animalic. It's not that barnyard funky oud. It's just a very wearable, easy, no pressure oud. It's a very sexy, confident scent. Byredo Black Saffron, similar to Amber Saffron, actually. It's kind of like the older cousin of Amber Saffron from Clean Reserve. Somewhat similar notes. There is a beautiful raspberry at the base, which is what I love about this, because in the dry down, you get that juicy, fruity note. There is like this creamy, suede, cashmerean kind of a note there too in the base. There is saffron in the opening, but there's actually a leather note through it too, so the leather really stands out here. And there's something about leather and raspberry that I feel like works so well together. There's a little bit of like an herbaliness, like a juniper in the opening, which I love. Juniper notes, gin notes. There's also a little bit of a violet, which adds a hint of sweetness. And there's this amazing vetiver in the base too, where it's this rich, green, woody note to it. It is this warm, cozy, comforting scent. Like, if I just want to be held, this is one of the scents. Like, this and Sueded Oud. Micallef Watch is so delicious. This is next on the list. It's this opening burst of just juicy, amazing fruit. There's peach, there's plum, there's mandarin orange. It's just this explosion of dripping, juicy, ripe fruit. And then as it starts to dry down, you have all these amazing white flowers. You have vanilla, you have tuberose, there's jasmine, there's ylang ylang, and there's a muskiness. So in the dry down, slowly it starts to take on almost like a candied effect. And with the florals and the fruits, it's just like, my mouth is watering again. It's like a candied fruit explosion, and it is just super sexy and light and feminine. It's easy to wear, it's easy to layer. I love mixing this in with deeper, darker, richer scents to kind of lift it back up. This next one is Mula Moola from Byron. I actually got this from another YouTuber. I'll leave her name somewhere here. She keeps raving about this, and at one point I was like, I just gotta get it. So I got it from crystalfragrances.com. I think I'll leave that down below as well. There are so many notes and there's so much happening in this fragrance, but it's so well blended that it's difficult when worn to pinpoint everything out. There are certain things that really stand out. Like there's this amazing caramel right at the top. There is woodiness, there is spice, there is a lot of juicy fruit, like a peach note, there's a red berry note. There are some deeper leathery notes. I believe technically it's saffron in here. Then you have some spice as it starts to dry down. There's this beautiful ginger that works so well with the opening like juicy fruit notes. Then you have in the dry down vanilla, benzoin, musk, but then there's also this amazing woodiness in the dry down, like oud, cedar. There's definitely some patchouli in there in the dry down too, which adds this beautiful spice. And I believe there's also some balsam, which adds this really cool, like foresty effect, like sappy forest. So it's like fruit pie baked with a caramel drizzle that you're eating fresh with a Christmas tree and vanilla. I'm like squinting because I'm trying to focus so hard on what's happening in this scent. It's spicy, it's sweet, it's a little powdery, musky, these woody notes that give it almost like a classic men's cologne effect. But when combined with the sweetness, oh, it's so good. A classic Tom Ford Santal blush. Anyone of any age, with any background, doing anything in life of any gender can wear this for forever. It's amazing. Right off the opening, you have these amazing spices, which makes me a little nervous when I see these notes in other fragrances, because a lot of times things with more spices tend to settle down as just those spices on me. Like, unfortunately for me, Fluidity Gold from MFK, there's like a coriander note in there. And it smells like coriander on me in the dry down, which sucks. And so I don't own Fluidity Gold for that reason. Santal blush, the spices don't linger at all. It dries down pretty quick on me. And then it moves into a little more of a white flower. There's a ylang ylang sweetness to it that starts to appear. You have a slight hint of rose, but it's not that syrupy, sweet, cloying rose. It's just a really light hint. But the dry down of this is where this shines. There is this insane, creamy, beautiful, delicious sandalwood. I love sandalwood, okay? It's my thing. It's got sandalwood, there's cinnamon, and the sandalwood is so beautifully enhanced with other woody notes. So you have oud, there is this amazing cedarwood in there too, and the oud and the cedarwood are not overbearing. They just give the sandalwood enough balance. You have a little bit of musk, you have some benzoin, which kind of acts like a vanilla, so it's this creamy sweetness to it. This is the scent to wear when you want to grab attention, when you want to exude feminine confidence and sexiness and just I am in full control of who I am kind of a scent. This is what it is. It is so beautiful, so graceful. I freaking love this. It's so good. Benevolence from House of Sillage. I've done an entire video on this fragrance and I'll leave that up here down below somewhere. This scent is so sweet, so marshmallowy, so sugary, so powdered sugar. Again, a similar concept to the Mourned to Dusk, where it's like a fairy dust powdered sugar kind of a scent, but Benevolence has almost a booziness to it, which is what I love. It actually reminds me a lot of Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian. There is that sugar, vanilla, musk, powdered sugar kind of base to it, but there's this beautiful spice, a little bit of an almond at the top. I believe the spice is star anise, which to me comes off as kind of a boozy-ish effect to the whole fragrance. There's also some amazing white flower in the middle, orange blossom, which I love. There's also this amazing jasmine. There's a slight lavender, which more than anything adds almost like an herbal touch to it. I almost like this better than Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian. I also think that this lingers better and longer on the skin. The longevity of this is great. It's addictive, it's yummy, it's delicious. Like, it's something you want to keep smelling. Of course, MFK Baccarat Rouge 540. This is so stunning, and I feel like pretty much everyone knows about it at this point, but for good reason. It is such a unique, special scent, and I say that with a grain of salt because now it is so commonly used, and there are a ton of fragrances that have launched since this that smell very similar or have attempted or come close to smelling similar. I bought this in 2014 at Oswald, New York City, and I have 2 bottles of this actually. I don't use this bottle so much because this is the original bottle from 2014, and I got it with someone very special to me, and we both got our own, so I kind of preserved this one. It is this amazing, sexy, woody, sweet skin effect scent. There is saffron at the top. There's juicy jasmine, which funnily enough, in this bottle from 2014, I smell the jasmine more than I do in my other bigger bottle, which is a little more recent. I think the scent has just kind of like opened up a little bit. And then there's this amazing ambergris, which adds this salty kind of touch to it. And it's combined with amber wood, I think, which is that beautiful, dark, sweet, spicy effect. There's a cedarwood note. There's like a fir note. And by fur, I mean like fur resin note, not like an animal fur note. And altogether, the effect is this sweet, skin, woody, sexy, grown effect. I love wearing this alone, but I'm absolutely a fragrance snob, and I don't like wearing things that a lot of other people are wearing. And that's a lot of times why I combine fragrances, because it's more of a custom scent. So I still use this all the time because I still love this fragrance, but I will mix it in with pretty much any other scent, and it just works. And this is a beast of a scent. You spray this, it's not going anywhere until you shower. You definitely can find fragrances that are less expensive that are very similar to this, but I will have a soft spot for the genius that was the original for forever and always. And one of my favorite scents to use it with is my holy grail, one of my probably like top 3 signature scents, and that is Atelier Cologne Santal Carmen. I'm obsessed with this. I can't. This is like what my sandalwood dreams are made out of. The opening of this is this amazing burst of saffron and citrus, and then immediately you get this beautiful, fresh, slightly creamy sandalwood. There's a little bit of a muskiness which adds to that creamy sandalwood, and then there is also another woody note, almost like a cedar oud combo, but it's very, very light. And then in the full dry down, you get that papery-ish note in there with vanilla. Vanilla at the base is kind of what seals the deal for me because it makes the sandalwood and wood and saffron sweet and creamy and sophisticated and sexy to me. And because of how long I've been wearing this and how much I love it, it comes across as something that I wear when I want to feel my best. Similar to this, where you will smell it until you wash it off, but these two together, I get compliments every single time. I know that this is such an expensive combination to wear. Do I feel a little guilty when I'm like, oh, it's this one and this one, so, I'm sorry to your bank account? Yes. But oh my God, I'm obsessed. This was a combo that I would wear like only when I was positive it was going to be a good day, which sounds so crazy, but my scent association is wild. There are certain fragrances that I will just never be able to wear again because it associates with a time in my life or a person in my life that I no longer want to remember. Even if you don't get this, you gotta try this. It's so unique. I feel like not a lot of people talk about Santal Carmen either, and that's a good thing for me because I love how unique it smells. Leave a comment down below with your favorite fragrances of 2020 so that I can have some new scents to check out. But until my next video, thank you guys as always so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you soon. Bye!